Well, hi everyone, it's Pete here from the Pain Toolkit. Hey, have I got a massive surprise for you guys today? I'm with, I think, well, he's my buddy now, my mate, Toby Newton-John from over there in Australia. Well, I know it's good morning here, but good evening to you, Toby. How are you today?
Hey, Pete, I'm very well. All the better for talking to you. It's been a long time and it's great to be in touch again.
Yeah. Listen, guys, I'm going to give you how do I know Toby? As you know, you've probably seen in other videos that went to a pain management program in 1996, so the input program in London, and Toby was actually one of the psychologists on the program, and as you all know, a bit of my story that the program had such a massive an effect on me that it got me back in the driving seat, gave me the confidence to manage my pain, etc. And and the skills I learned on there. Sorry, Toby, I'm going on a bit here now, but I always like to say that the skills I learned there, all those self-management skills, have all been transferable. So as I become an older person and other health issues that come along, they've all been transferable where I can self-manage a lot better. But so that's how I know Toby. But listen, I thought it'd be a good idea to ask Toby um, to talk about the Prehab Pain Toolkit that you're reading at the moment, because I don't know about you, Toby. I think sometimes in healthcare it's like you're constantly firefighting, and I think with the idea of the Prehab Pain Toolkit is that where people can learn some skills prior to perhaps an operation or procedure, or if they're thinking about wanting to come off their painkillers and stuff like that. I mean, what's your take on a prehab program or prehab toolkit?
Yeah, Pete, I think one of the problems we have, isn't it, that when people, as you say, they've been told, right, you're going to have some surgery for a pain-related issue, and you've got a date perhaps, or we're going to get you a date or whatever. It's really common that people just stop kind of being proactive themselves about their health because they think, okay, well now the doctors, the surgeon, whoever, they're going to do the work for me, so I just need to wait till that happens. And sometimes, as we know, that can be waiting lists are lengthy, and then things get delayed and are out extend. So the prehab idea is about helping people to realize that even when you've got an operation or some sort of intervention coming up, you can actually get going yourself in getting yourself as fit and as mentally prepared and as effectively in the best shape you can be for that treatment, for that operation, for that surgery to have maximal benefit. There's quite a lot you can do yourself in preparation for that. And getting that control back, that you're not just waiting for the surgeon to do something to you, or waiting for the medications to taper off, or waiting for, you can actually take some initiative and take some control over your health whilst you're in that period. Um, it's enormously beneficial physically, but also psychologically. I'm a clinical psychologist, as you said, and the idea that people don't feel dependent on some other entity, that they can do things to and for themselves, is such an important part of pain management, such an important part of mental health, that prehab is a intrinsically good idea to help people get out of that sort of waiting, passive dependent phase and much more involved in, okay, well, whilst I'm waiting for this thing, what can I do myself? And perhaps the outcome, or not perhaps, definitely the outcome's better as a result, but whether that the need is quite so strong once you've got going yourself is, it's the only one way to find out.
Yeah, I think I said I think I said to you before, but when I got diagnosed with prostate cancer, they said this is the treatment we can start off with, etc. And I asked about what's the downside to what's the effects of this treatment, like they talked about, because I'll be injecting me with like hormones and stuff like that, and if you could affects your bones, etc. So so I wanted to get ahead of the game, and that's the fantastic thing about knowing about pain self management. So
Mm.
I actually think about, well, um, okay, I have the injections every 3 months, but what can I do to prevent the bones, etc. Like, I'm not sure that like not brittle bone, that's the wrong term, but it would affect my bones, etc. Make me look weak.
Yeah, your bone density.
That's it, you got it.
Mm.
So, well,
Mm.
you're a psychologist and I'm not. But so what I did was I had to adapt my movement program, my meaningful movement program. I call it stretching exercising, so that I had to make sure my muscles are strengthened, etc. So I had to tweak it and stuff like that. So in a way, I was doing some sort of prehab. So it's about getting ahead of the game, as you say, and keeping yourself in the driving seat. I mean, can I ask you a question? In Australia, do they do a lot of prehab stuff?
Pete, it's increasingly common, increasingly common. I think for two reasons: the surgeons and the medical fraternity get better outcomes for their patients. When people come in better shape ahead of the game, as you say, they're a little fitter, they're a little stronger, they're a little more flexible, they're better prepared, they're more relaxed, they're more knowledgeable about what they're going to do. It's all part of the prehab idea. They get a better outcome. So the surgeons are happy with it because they're seeing people who are, happier with their operation. They're seeing people recovering faster, because that's the other thing. Big surgery often has quite a long rehabilitation period. And if you've never done any exercise, never done any pacing, never done it, then you're starting in a really tricky spot to learn how to do this stuff. Whereas if you have, prior to your surgery or whilst you're tapering from opioids, you're already learning how to, you've got some baselines, you're working off some quotas, you've got an idea of what you can do. After your operation, you've got a whole kind of ready, prepared idea of what needs to happen. So you're going to rehab faster, and that's great for everybody.
Certainly, you mentioned here about tapering off the opioids, because as we know, that's quite a massive worldwide problem, etc. And that was another reason for why I wanted to include tapering off of opioids, because I think sometimes I'm hearing that people are just saying, "Well, you got to stop there now," but you can't really do that. But I know in America and other places they're actually doing that, and that's why I'm thinking that if they were to come off tapering off their opioids, they had something, they were learning something before that actually happened. I mean, what's your take on that?
I think, Pete, it's a fundamentally, to me anyway, seems like a really problematic way of putting to somebody, okay, you're taking these very strong pain medications and they've got a whole lot of risk associated with them, and they may be not doing you great benefit in terms of your pain, because that's still bad as well. So we've got to taper them away, take them off. But to give somebody nothing as an alternative, to think I'm going to remove this but not replace it with anything, just seems like such a anxiety provoking and an unfair way of going about health management. But the idea that you say, okay, well, let's taper down this stuff, which ultimately isn't good for you and ultimately doesn't really, but let's taper up this other stuff, which has no side effect, has no harm, is only good for your health. And the best bit is, you don't rely on anybody to do it. You don't have to see a pharmacist. You don't have to see a doctor. You don't have to wait. Oh, it's a public holiday. The pharmacy not open. Whatever. None of that stuff. Yeah. All under your own control. So you wean down on one, you wean up on the other. It seems like it should always go hand in hand. But as you say, I understand often it doesn't. And then people left, okay, you've taken my crutches away. Now what have I got? And so this prehab idea and the whole notion that there's a self-management element to managing pain, which people can miss. It's so good to be getting that message out there for people.
Well, Toby, I think that there's quite a bit of information on there. Thanks very much for coming on and doing an interview with me. And as I like many of the videos that I do, they're not so much about questions, but in conversation, because I think we learn so much from having that conversation. And
absolutely.
Yeah, so hopefully we can do a few more sometime. So thanks very much for coming on.
Absolute pleasure, Pete.
Give me any last take-home messages, Toby?
I think really the take-home message for people is you can do more for yourself than you ever realize until you're given the opportunity to do that. And there's resources aplenty, including the wonderful Pain Toolkit ones. And it's just a matter of giving it a chance. Give it a go. You're the best person to manage your own health is you.
Okay, great stuff there, Toby. Thanks very much, and we'll see you again on another video throughout the toolkit. Or don't forget some resources on the Pain Toolkit website as well. Take care, everyone. Ciao.